The major concern tonight remains the holy fire outside Los Angeles, which has burned 18,000 acres.
Conditions are still extreme. Several times the fire has roared back to life.
Hey friends, welcome to the Mr. O Science Show. Mr. O here, reporting from Los Angeles. All kinds of fires are a major concern, not only for citizens of California, but for people around the world. Every second counts in a fire, so let's ignite with some fire science. The fire triangle is a great tool to help us understand what a fire needs to survive and how to extinguish any type of fire. In order to create a fire, you will need heat from something like a lighter, a fuel source such as wood or gasoline, and oxygen that can be naturally found in the air around us. However, extinguishing or putting out a fire simply requires eliminating any one of these elements. We can learn more with this week's Home Science Experiment. Let's start with extinguishing our first candle by removing the heat. Water is exceptionally good at absorbing heat, but it can't be used to put out all fires. For our second candle, let's see what happens when we take away the oxygen found around it. Our flame needs oxygen in order to burn, but the cup stops the flow of oxygen. Our fire is extinguished. And finally, let's see what happens when our fire has no more fuel left to burn. This experiment uses candle wax as the fuel source. Once our fire doesn't have anything to burn, it extinguishes itself. Cooking is the #1 cause of all house fires and house injuries. But don't stop cooking, it's good for you. Some safety tips include: never leave food unattended. Always wear tight-fitted clothing. Never leave cloth or wooden items by the open heat source. And finally, don't put metal or foil inside the microwave. Let's see how to put out fires around the kitchen. When it comes to electric appliances, never use water to put out the fire. Always go to a fire extinguisher or a nearby fire blanket. If a fire occurs while cooking over the stove, never use water to put it out. Remove the heat, put a lid over any pot or pan, and use baking soda. Lots of baking soda. If your stove operates on gas, make sure to turn that gas off and go to a nearby fire extinguisher. If a fire larger than a house fire occurs, such as a wildfire, here's a couple of tips to help prep. Always have an emergency evacuation pack available that contains 3 or 4 days of water, 3 or 4 days of food that won't go bad, 3 or 4 days of clothing items, a first aid kit, some type of light such as a lantern or a flashlight, any medications, important documents such as social security cards and titles or any other top secret things that you're into. And try to have access to a radio. Make sure to shut off gas and electricity. Have a contact list and know where to go and how to get there quickly. Make sure you leave any other advice or tips or comments down below. We love to hear from you. I'm Mr. O, and this has been a hot episode about fire safety.